Ahoy, and welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Log. My name is Rixley. I'm a systems thinker and strategic designer. For the last 10 years, I've been working in purpose-led transformations for companies, organizations, and I've been helping people and leadership and their teams to actually articulate their purpose, find their purpose, and then build strategy, brand, and business around the purpose. And I'm currently setting up an online community called The Leadership, where I'm going to be opening up and sharing some of these tools, resources, and workshops that I've put together and iterated on the last 10 years to actually help people articulate the purpose and actually design a life, a business, around something that they really enjoy and something that they're really passionate about and something that fulfills them and is in line with their soul's mission, and that's something that I'm very passionate about. That's actually my soul's mission. That's actually what I believe that I'm here to do, and I believe that I'm pretty good at getting that purpose out of people and helping them to, with the steps to actually put that into action and create something. So last week I did mention I do like to do this kind of every year. January every year is I do like to do Paul Chek's year in review, my year in review. And if you don't know Paul Chek's probably one of the all-time best holistic lifestyle coaches in the world. Amazing guy. So full of so much knowledge and wisdom, and somebody that I very much look up to. And he does have this podcast called My Year in Review, and I do like to listen to it every year, and I've created like a little template in my Notion second brain that I like to use and kind of follow along with this year in review that Paul Chek has put together. I won't go into it in extreme detail, but it is something that I definitely recommend that you do. I'll put the link to that episode of the podcast in the description. So if you do choose to do it, which I highly do recommend that you do, it's a great exercise to do. You can go ahead and actually do that. So the first thing that Paul Chek gets you to do in this year in review is something very interesting. It's around identifying your nightmare. Okay, so and I think that's a really powerful thing when you can actually look at something objectively. Once you put something on a page and you write it down and you actually put it out there on a page and you can actually stand back and look at it objectively, it's a really powerful tool to actually separate the thing, get it out of your head and actually be able to stand back and look at it and kind of separate yourself from it. And so I guess I kind of like, I sat there and I did this exercise and I really kind of framed this nightmare. And I think once you start doing that, you start to realize kind of how ridiculous it is, you know what I mean? But you kind of give your permission to just acknowledge that that's kind of like, present for you. You can kind of see where your fears are, whether they're logical or illogical. And it also kind of empowers you to, to know that you actually have the power to change that and to, change the course of that or stay away from that nightmare and actually move towards something, towards your dream and away from that by just acknowledging the fact that there it is, that is the nightmare. And I choose, I have the power to choose to actually resolve and solve that when I'm ready to. And that's in fact what Paul Chek asks you to do once you have articulated that nightmare. So I guess for me, and this is quite vulnerable, what I am sharing with you. This is personal. This is my personal nightmare, or my, this is my personal year in review. So I am kind of putting myself out there by doing this, but I will share with you some of what I would say is my nightmare. So for me, this last year I've just had like such huge change, such huge transformation. And I will go into, once I've kind of framed this nightmare for you, I'll kind of go into some of the things that I feel really positive and proud of myself for actually achieving in this last 12 months. It's been the most amazing year. It's also been probably the most challenging year of my life. And, it's definitely good to reflect on how far you've come, because you don't often see the transformation, because it's happening slowly over the year. Well, it's actually a year moves quite quickly, but you don't see the transformation. But when you sit back and you kind of look at it, and you kind of remember where you were last year, the same time last year, you can reflect and see, and there's been a lot of achievements and compounding achievements and changing attitude, changing my rhythm, my discipline. And, I'm a completely different person. I think I mentioned this like every podcast, every episode of the Captain's Log, but I will, I'll share that with you. But I just think it's a really important thing to do. So, okay. So the first thing is identify my nightmare. So I guess like for me, after going through this last year, this last year for me has really been about reclaiming my health, getting back to my purpose, building back up my strength. I had some other stuff to resolve after closing out my business in Australia, and closing a kind of a chapter of my life, friends, community, business, relationship. Went through kind of a breakup as well. I was completely heartbroken. And I am in a completely different place. But there are some things that I still need to achieve to kind of like get myself to that next level of stability, and there's a little step that I need to get to. So I guess for me, my nightmare is really around not being free, not being autonomous, not being able to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, having to say no to things that I would really like to do because I don't have the means or the resources to be able to do that thing. There's been so many times in my life, because I've been working so hard on my business. I am very dedicated to my work. And a lot of the time I pour my energy and my efforts and everything into my passions. And a lot of the time it's not financially, viable, but I just do it. I do it anyway. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. Like for example, this podcast, the Design on Purpose podcast, I spend hours and hours on that, and I love it. I'm not giving that up. That I'm doubling down on that actually. But these things are not like financially, rewarding yet. They may be one day, but that's the risk you take as an entrepreneur. You're kind of creating art. You're not really worried about the outcome, or you're kind of taking a risk by investing into something without being certain that you're gonna get that energy back in financial remuneration at some point, and that's okay. I'm really getting a lot of value and learning out of the work that I'm doing. I also do client work. Last year, I didn't do too much of it. I had a couple of clients because, I like to give full focus and attention to the people that I am working with. And I just decided I don't need to take on too much. I can just be really focused and care for the couple of people that I'm working with. And I obsess over my clients' problems and work as well. So, I'm thinking about it outside of meetings and everything. So I don't like to put too many, complicate that side of my life too much. I just like to keep it simple and work with people that I like. So my nightmare is really around like being in a situation where I'm still kind of, where I'm at now in now it's January, 2025, and I live an amazing life. I love what I'm doing. I'm very blessed. I have got some revenue stream. I'm working on an online community, which will probably be free to start with. So I'm not expecting any kind of financial gain on that anytime soon. I want to get that to be a really nice product before I start charging for that, if I do charge for that. But my nightmare is that I'm not able to have the means, to live the life I want to live, to travel to the places that I want to travel and experience the things that I want to experience. And I'm stuck in a situation that I don't want to be in, like stressing around things, around income or working on things that I don't really want to work on because I have to, and forfeiting time that I really could be spending on my own projects and my own, art and creativity. And, I always want to kind of be doing client work if they're with people that I like, friends, people that I would hang out with outside of work. I do like to have those clients, but I just don't want to be in a situation. My nightmare would be having to work some corporate thing or on some project that I don't want to because I have to. And, I guess that's the bigger nightmare would be not having any of that at all, to be honest, because I do like that work, and it also helps me to, keep going on my own things as well. So that's, and when I look at it on this page, I'm like, it's not even that, like, that's not really a nightmare, it's a little bit of a challenge, but that's the power of actually doing this. Another nightmare is that I spend all this time on my podcast and my YouTube channel, not this channel, but my Design on Purpose channel, and nothing comes of it. I don't get any audience. There's no subscribers. People don't like the podcast. And there's no movement. The channel doesn't grow, and then I put all this effort into it, and at some point I can't turn it into something where I can generate some revenue and keep improving it. And, because if I do generate revenue for that podcast, if I do end up monetizing my YouTube channel, then I will just be putting it back into the channel. I'll get the production quality up. But I'd love to keep growing that as a medium, as a creative expression for myself. And my nightmare would be that I put all this energy into it and nothing happens. And I have been told that, Tom Noski, I did his course, Time to Build, and he's like, it's going to take 400 episodes. It's going to take years before anything happens, and you have to release them consistently one a week. And my mom's also thinking about moving overseas, and I've got all my stuff in her storage, and I guess another nightmare would be that my mum just goes, I'm out, I'm moving like tomorrow, and then I've got to kind of somehow organize myself and get back to Australia and sort out my things. But it's just, this is so silly. It's so silly. So anyway, Paul Chek says, he says in this review, he says, begin each day by looking at the nightmare you've written down. Acknowledge your nightmare. You can say, I can really see that you would like blah, and acknowledge, talk to yourself about it, and state to yourself this: I have the power, creativity, and ability to resolve this nightmare, and I will do it as soon as I choose to. And give yourself permission to resolve it. But it doesn't need to give yourself permission not to resolve it then and there, he says, and acknowledge that you have the power to resolve the situation when you choose to, and remind yourself of your freedom. So for me, really, my nightmare comes down to not having autonomy, not having freedom, and not having, capacity and the means to be able to keep growing in my creative expression. And, now that I've written it down, it's just like, it's not really that, like, this is something that I can really, really deal with and manage. I know my podcast is going to get traction and do very well. Even in the last 6 weeks that I've been regularly uploading, like, it's just the growth on it has just been insane. If you don't already, do check it out, Design on Purpose. And he had a little quote in the podcast, a Carl Jung quote, and it's, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And that's so true. I think since I've started reflecting every week on my growth and my learnings, it's just had a profound effect on me. Just being able to sit and integrate things, I don't think we do that often enough, to actually, acknowledge what we've learned. It's kind of reflect on what the experiences that we've had, so that we can actually turn them into learning, where we can use that learning or that experience to actually, change or alter or iterate on how we are day to day. So that's my nightmare. Not so scary, right? And then he gets you to do some other things, like, these assessments on what you must have and what you must not have. And I'll just kind of touch on my must-haves and must-not-haves. But basically, my goal this year is to get my online community to a place where I'm building a really nice community. Most importantly, I would like to be serving people and create something that's so valuable and so amazing, such a great experience, and is helping a lot of people. And then I'm hoping that if I work on that this year, that product that I make over iterations over the next 12 months will be something that I can turn into a monthly recurring revenue stream for myself. And I can continue to help people with it, and I can scale the work that I do. So that to me is a must-have by the end of the year. It's a must-have for me is continuing to have a healthy routine environment wherever I go. And before I get to a new city, before I go and travel to somewhere else, like I'm thinking about going to Portugal, going to Lisbon, I need to have my accommodation, my gym, and just kind of like work out the terrain. Maybe even have some podcast guests lined up so that when I get there, I can continue on this commitment that I made to myself to actually release a podcast a week, Design on Purpose podcast a week. What I must have this year, I am determined to have recorded 100 episodes of Design on Purpose. And it's a real challenge. I'm up to episode 36 as I say this, and it's I think it's the 12th of January today. So I'm recording another episode next week. I got 2 the following week. I am going well with that, but I mean 100 episodes is a long way to go. So let's see how we go. But I'm committed to that. It'd be amazing to get to New Year's Eve and just know that I've got 100 in the bag, and I've actually like made that commitment and kept that commitment and had the discipline and the drive and the systems and everything in place, the planning in place to actually follow through with that. And this year I would also like to dive into the area of AI agents. I think that's very interesting. I'd like to learn how to build and deploy those. I think they're very interesting. I think the next 5 years, that whole sector is going to like blow up. I mean, it's essentially like we're in 1995 right now again, like with the start of the internet, like we're there with AI and some of these tools and technologies. And I just think like, what an amazing time to be here and to actually start making stuff. I mean, for a non-technical person these days, to make an AI tool, to make a technical product and deploy it is a lot easier than it was, 5-10 years ago. And I just think like some of the things that I must not have in my life, clients that I don't want to work with, I won't do that anyway. I'm only going to work with people that I want to work with. I don't want to have people in my life that take from me energetically, creatively, emotionally, and financially, and that I don't really feel good being around. I'm kind of really taking audit of that in my life. I kind of have been for the last year, but I would rather that there's like a quote. I don't know who said this, but it's like, it's better to walk alone than with a fool. And I just think that like I spend so much time alone. And I really love it, actually. I'm loving it. I've kind of gone full, monk mode, hermit this last year and a bit. And I'll probably continue to do that for a little while longer. And I'm meeting some great people, but I just spend a lot of time in my art, my creativity and making stuff and, kind of like redesigning my life. I'm in reflection, doing tarot. Just kind of recalibrating and reconnecting to that purpose. So I don't want to have anything around that's kind of not in alignment to my goals or the kind of person that I'm becoming, this new future version of myself, the types of people that I want to be around. I mean, that's also one of the questions that Paul Chek asks is like, in your dream, it's like, who are the types of people that who do you see sharing this dream creation process with? And what I must not have is any procrastination. I got to take radical action and, be prepared to fail, iterate, learn fast, iterate until I succeed. That's just kind of been my whole, like that's been my journey always. I'm a very determined person. I'm pretty disciplined. COVID did give me a bit of a whack there, like with the stress of it all and just the change of my industry and the learning curve that I had to go on. But I'm determined. I'm still here. I'm still going. I'm still adding value. I'm still helping people. I'm still doing client work, I'm still focused on my health. I feel healthier than probably I've ever been. I'm nearly 40. I'm turning 40 this year. And, I don't want to get comfortable. I'm really comfortable in Bali right now, and I'm starting to think like, ooh, maybe because I'm comfy and I've got a good routine and rhythm here, maybe it's time to move along, and go and find and experience something new. So I am thinking about heading to Europe for summer and maybe heading to Lisbon for a bit. And yes, that's my must not has. But hey, let me reflect on this last year, the 2024, because it was a massive year for me, and I know it was a really hard year for a lot of people. A lot of people experienced a lot of difficult stuff in 2024. I know. People in my circle, it was a big year for a lot of people. But for me, areas that I feel very proud of myself about are I've lost 15 kilos this last 12 months. In December 2023, I was 83 kilos, and I'm now like nearly 67 kilos. So I've lost 15 kilos. I feel fit. I'm super healthy. I train. I've got a great routine with that. And I've been living overseas for a year now. I thought I was going to only be gone for like a few months. And I wasn't like, it's not like I had a bunch of cash when I left Australia. I'd, just gone through a really crazy dismantling of my business and a home and everything. So, I was kind of not in the best situation. But I've managed to stay overseas for a year. And I'm in a better mental, physical, and spiritual and emotional state than I was in December 2023, and I think probably more than I've ever been. And it was really challenging, and I got through. I made it through. I mean, there was times when I first got to Thailand, I was like waking up, in the night with like anxiety, and I was feeling really sad, really heartbroken, just completely devastated. And like, I know I mention this all the time, but I did not look healthy. I was super swollen, full of cortisol, so stressed. And I just I'd had enough, like I was, and a lot of business owners probably experienced this during COVID, like that whole situation was just so stressful. Trying to keep things moving and take care of your team and be strong for other people, because a lot of people like around me were like not doing well. And so I felt, and I know this is my own thing, but I kind of felt like I took that on a bit and tried to remain really strong through the whole time. And then I just kind of like crumbled in the end. The other thing I'm really proud of is getting the Design on Purpose podcast back up and running. It was really difficult for me to do that. And, I'm really proud of the fact that I've scheduled all these podcasts, and I'm getting ahead. And I'm really, really excited about where that's all going. I get such great feedback about the Design on Purpose podcast. And it's something that I really enjoy. It's just such a fun thing to do. And I love talking to people that have just created such great lifestyles and business and solved problems, helping other people, living healthy lifestyles, traveling the world, like just all this really great stuff. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm also really proud of the client work that I've done this year. I think, it's been great work with my clients. I've seen a lot of growth there. Even just getting on a call with Graham, my client, last week. We did a sprint plan with his team. No, it was this week actually. Their January sprint planning. And this was the first time I got on a call with them to do sprint planning. And they were just such an amazing team. They all came prepared with their things they wanted to get done that week. They all took really great turns listening to each other and acknowledging each other. It just felt really good and cohesive. And this is a team that, started off when I got there, it was just working on pen and paper, and they didn't use any They didn't use any cloud tools, calendar tools. Now they're on Asana and doing sprint planning and using agile methodology. And I'm just really proud of the fact that the work that they've done there. Another thing I'm really proud of is the relationship that I've been building with my mum. I was disconnected from my mum a really long time. And, it's been a lot of work, and we've done some really good work together. And I think we have a really great relationship. We talk all the time on the phone. It's a really, it's a great thing. Just the fact that you can just call your mum and have a real conversation and, talk about, like, we have similar interests, and, that's been really healing and amazing. And on top of that, reconnecting with my amazing 87-year-old grandma, my undercover nana, as she calls herself. And she's just probably just like my favorite person in the whole world. She's just amazing. And I'm so blessed that I got to reconnect with her and I can pick up the phone and call my grandma. I don't know how many people that are 39 years old that get to talk to their grandma like that. It's amazing. So I'm very blessed for that. And yeah, so that's my reflections and my I'm actually really stoked that where I've got to in the last 12 months, and that cannot be discounted, and I think just reflecting in your own life, have a look. Like, I actually made like a little page on my Notion where I put like last year and this year, like a photo of myself, a snapshot of my bank account, a snapshot of, certain things, like what was I doing. And when I lay it out like that, I'm like, wow, I've made such a big change in my life. And it's a great thing to go back to. If you ever feel like you're stuck or you're not getting anywhere, go back to that and have a look. That's why also these captain's logs are so good, because even when I look back at the first one of these that I did, the improvement in, even just the audio, the sound, the quality of the lighting, the way that I'm speaking, the way that I'm articulating myself, the way that I'm getting organized with my notes, it's miles ahead. I still have a long way to go, of course. I'm always growing and learning, and I definitely want to keep improving. But, it's just a good log of just seeing how far I've come, even just in a short period of time. So let me get to as well, like, my dream. Okay, what's my dream? I've got it here. And these are great questions that Paul has. I love these. So the first thing he asks is, what's your dream for this year? And I wrote it down like this, okay? I'm sitting, it's December 2025, and it's New Year's Eve, and I'm sitting in a beautiful location surrounded by new friends, and I'm about to watch the New Year's Eve fireworks, and I'm reflecting on my year 2025 just passed. This year's been really transformative for me, and this is the year that I became really financially and stable and completely autonomous and free. I'm able to do what I want, when I want, travel where I like to go. I'm the master of my own world, my life, and my freedom. I have a thriving online community and business, and I've got here, it's generating me $10,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue consistently. The people in the community are thriving. They're doing really well. They're becoming friends. Maybe even this community, we start meeting up in person. I don't know where this can go, but I've got some ideas about it. This is something that I've been wanting for so long, and I've put some notes here about how much savings I want in my accounts. There's a lot of things around here around financial security and safety, because I think, like, for me, even though I've had business that's been generating revenue and making money, an agency, especially in today's world, is actually very difficult, to especially when you've got a team and you're outsourcing and things like that. So you can't really scale the work that you do in something like that unless you're making products. So I just really want to make really useful stuff, leverage my skills, and if I do that and I add value to people, then I would like to create some revenue streams out of that. And I would also like to start accumulating some assets, some crypto assets, or start building up some kind of portfolio by the end of the year. And what else? Yeah, I want to be, I'm completely free to choose what projects I work on, with who, where, and when. I'm very proud of myself for having recorded the 100th episode of Design on Purpose, which was my goal for this year. And the podcast has been incredibly successful. The momentum behind it has completely changed my life. I am recognized as a thought leader, and I'm getting so many opportunities offered to me. So many inquiries are coming in from really well-known people wanting to come onto the Design on Purpose podcast. I've upgraded the production quality and it's become world-class. I now have outsourced all the editing of the podcast, and it's bringing enough revenue. The podcast as well is bringing in revenue for me to pay for editing and post-production and to keep improving the quality. And that gives me more time to focus on helping my community, making stuff for my community, adding value to my community. I have a strong personal brand. I'm recognized and have built a following on my YouTube channel from Design on Purpose. Also, that's gained momentum and a following. My health is really excellent. I'm super strong physically. And this year, 2024 was really about shedding and, recomposition. And this year is really about, building muscle and refining my movement and mobility and posture. I'm feeling strong. I look amazing and I feel amazing. So that's my dream for 2025. And I think it's realistic. I'm not being overly crazy there, like with the revenue. I'm being, I don't need much, to be honest. I don't really want to be like a super big billionaire or anything like that. I don't think, like, unless I had something really, purposeful to do with the cash, with that amount of cash. But I think when you start making that amount of money, there's a huge responsibility there too. The more money you've got, the more responsibility you've got. And I think you need to reflect on how much responsibility you're willing to have with that kind of thing. It's a lot of energy to hold. So, I just want enough to be able to keep working and supporting and helping people, and to be able to focus on that, and give my energy to that. And keep mastering my craft and keep learning and developing as a practitioner, designer, facilitator. That's really what I want to do. And so, the revenue is really just a means to be able to continue my work and to continue to support and help others to find their purpose, free some people from the matrix, live a healthy life that's fulfilling and be able to create the tools and the systems to be able to help people to get there. So that's really what I'd like to do. And I think, having had an agency, I think, especially when you're a good designer and you really care about the client, the work that you do is so good because, like, when you do really good design work, the client shouldn't rely on you. When we did work on brand stuff and everything, our ethos is always trying to make ourselves obsolete. We want to get the client so set up that they don't need to come back to us, and that's probably not a really good business model, to be honest. So you're always kind of looking for new clients, and it gets really exhausting, that whole chase of trying to find client work. I guess you really want to attract client work rather than go looking for it like that. And we did. But I think, like, if you can set something up where you can just focus on the work and focus on developing yourself as a practitioner and in the mastery of your craft, I think that's a better thing to do. If you be able to create products and things that you can scale, you make something really useful for one person, and then it can, scale and support other people. You can keep iterating on it, making it a better thing, and then over time you end up with a really nice product and you've helped a bunch of people, and then it's scalable. That's kind of like where I want to get to this year. So here's some other questions here from Paul. So that's my dream, right? And then he says, like, what is it that you desire to do that makes you feel good? So for me, I desire to be free to travel wherever I want, whenever I want. I desire to make great content, valuable content that's going to help people. I want to have excellent conversations. I want to have a very successful podcast. And I desire to have a thriving online community where I'm able to help people to activate their purpose and design the life of their dreams. And I've managed to do this. I get so many people that contact me and go, just like, how are you having this awesome lifestyle where you get to travel around and work online and, live in these amazing places, and it is possible for you as well. There's, and I think now's the time to really look at it, because it's, 2025, this AI thing's, coming, and a lot of people think they're in a really safe position having a comfy, cozy job. But I can tell you that's not safe. That's not a safe place to be. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, so you might as well get ahead of the curve and design your life on purpose. So what kind of people do you share your dream and your dream creation process with? So for me, I want to share this with people who are also working on their dreams, whether that's my community or other people that I meet around the traps. I've met so many amazing people in Bali that are doing the same thing. I want to be working with, be around other entrepreneurs, creatives, building and making and dreaming and visioning, people building businesses around their passions. I want to be around positive people, healthy people, driven and motivated people, people who I can have fun with and also have great conversations with collaborations, ideas, joy, laughter, adventures. Like, and these are the kinds of people that I'm around and I'm meeting. I do spend a lot of time on my own, but that if I want to go out there and go out to the world, I know where these people are in this area where I'm at. There's plenty of them around. So that's it. The people. So there's the people that you surround yourself with are extremely important. Like, I look around me now and I'm like, wow, the people that I'm around right now are so different to the people I was around, like, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Like, just community. Be careful of what community you get yourself involved with. That's all I got to say. Because you do become like the community. Communities have culture, they have values that will, sometimes the values can be quite questionable, but communities have songs. If you look at cultures, songs, maybe texts, artifacts, rituals, there are these certain things that make up a culture of the people that you're around or the tribe that you're around. It's really important for you to find your tribe. So, like, have a look at the people around you. Like, what are these people actually doing? What are the rituals? What's the language that they use? Are they speaking positively? Are they talking about ideas and collaborations and art and creativity and, thought, mind expanding, thought provoking stuff? Or are they talking about people and gossip and, bullshit stuff? Like, who are these people that you're hanging out with? Like, take an audit, like, look around and actually seriously have a look at it, because, sometimes you kind of end up in these situations and you're like, you're not really paying attention. The next minute, everyone ends up being the same. And some communities can help you grow and develop and become a healthier person, and some just do quite the opposite. So what are the values of the people that you hang around with? How do they treat each other? How do they treat people outside of the community? Really important to check that out. Okay, so what are you passionate about? Okay, what gets your juices flowing? What makes you excited to practice enough to develop authentic mastery? What opens your heart? What inspires enough passion within you that challenges are seen as growth opportunities and not irremovable roadblocks? So for me, I'm passionate about learning new things. I want to be able to learn and follow where my inspiration takes me. I'm really passionate about my podcast, Design on Purpose, and I want to create an amazing podcasting experience and create something really special that helps a lot of people, inspires a lot of people, shows people another way of living, another way of doing life. You can live freely, you can live autonomously, you can follow your dreams. maybe you have to make some sacrifices along the way, but I'd love to give people the courage and the, the community to feel safe to be able to do that. I want to keep evolving the podcast, and continuously improve it. I'm really passionate about helping others. I'm really passionate about connecting people to their purpose. And I want to be able to scale and create something that will support more people to live a life led by purpose. So the next question, which I think is something that a lot of people don't really look at before they start getting into a career or a job or a lifestyle unconsciously, is around the working conditions. So what working conditions are ideal for you? Do you want to work outside or inside? Do you want to create alone, or do you want to create with others who share the same hopes and dreams and aspirations? Do you want to work for yourself, or do you want to work for somebody else? You don't have to work alone to fulfill, or for yourself to fulfill your dreams. Maybe you find a really cool job at a really cool team and you're able to kind of work with that team to fulfill your purpose. How much stress are you willing to engage to create and live your dream? That's another really important thing, I think, especially in this world where we're moving so fast. How much stress are you willing to kind of take on? For me, my ideal working conditions are to be working from beautiful locations around the world, free to travel and work from anywhere, create when I choose and feel inspired. I work for myself. Maybe sometimes I pick up client work, the clients that I want to work with, that I feel like that are aligned with my values and the type of work that I want to be doing. And the clients that are wanting to do good work. I don't like to do half-assed stuff. Like if I work with a client, I want to work with clients that they want to do good, top, world-class quality work as well. So that's a non-negotiable for me. And I want to work on projects, that pay me fairly, or my true value and worth, and for people that I want to work with. I also have this kind of thing on the back burner as well. I've put my application into the Doge team. So I know I've got this dream here about this certain type of life, but if I do get called to the Department of Government Efficiency, I actually did meet somebody the other day that may be able to kind of link me up with them. But let's just say I get the call for that. This whole thing could, go out the window to some degree, because I would probably have to sacrifice some of my lifestyle, in terms of working from Bali, for example. I'd have to go to Washington or be close to the project. But I would be more than happy for that particular project to put all this aside and just knuckle down and focus on that for a year and a half. Obviously continue to do the podcast, but if I did get called to the Department of Government Efficiency, that would also be an amazing dream. And, I'd continue to do the podcast, but I would knuckle down and focus on that project and, travel and do all that other stuff later after that was finished. I think that's wrapping up in July 2026. So who knows? Maybe I get the call, maybe not. But I'm still kind of trying to see if I can, I'm still kind of knocking on the door at the Department of the Government Efficiency. So if anyone sees this and does know how to connect me over there, then please, feel free. I can send over my details, resume, whatever. I've sent a message to Department of Government Efficiency on X, and I imagine they're probably getting thousands and thousands and thousands of applications through there. It's pretty difficult to get through, but I've managed to find some connections that have a way in there. So let's see what happens. So that's my working conditions. Ideally, I'm working for myself, unless it's a high profile specific project. I mean, that Doge project is a once in a generation project for a systems thinker. Like, that is a huge, huge undertaking, that whole government reform. I mean, that you would not want to miss out on that. It'd be so much learning. It'd be very, very difficult work, very challenging, a lot of hours, but amazing. Like the person you would become from putting yourself in a position where you're working on something like that would just be next level. Invaluable. Okay, geography. where do I want to live? Well, right now I'm in Bali. I'm going to stay here for a little while, and then I'm thinking about heading to Portugal, to Lisbon for the summer, Euro summer. I'm going to visit my friend in Luxembourg and then head to Portugal. But if I get called for the Doge, I would be getting on a plane and heading over to Washington, D.C. But for the meantime, my plan is to head to Europe. As mentioned, how much? Also, the next one is around income. So, how much money will you need to generate and create and maintain your dream lifestyle? Well, my dream lifestyle is pretty simple. I don't need a lot of I don't want to have all this. I don't need a lot of revenue to live the kind of life that I like to live. But for the meantime, if I can get a monthly recurring revenue of 10K a month just through products and services that I build, I'm not talking about client work. I'm just talking about trying to create something that just generates revenue without me having to actually be there or do the thing or obviously with a community, I'm going to be very involved with that. I'm going to be running weekly calls and Q&As and trying to get really good people to come in and add value to the community. I think with that, I'm going to maybe even run some in-person stuff depending on how that goes. But what I'm saying there is I want to start building something that, when I build a course or I build something useful for one person, that it's there and it's scalable and it's something that can generate revenue without me having to do it one on one all the time. So that's my goal this year, and I want those products to generate at least 10K a month for this year. Let's see how we go. How much responsibility? So at this stage, I don't really want to be responsible for a team. I've had this in my life. I've been there. I've had a lot of responsibility for other people in my life. I don't want to do that right now or for the nearest foreseeable future. Sure, I'm a responsibility to my community, be in full service to my community and my clients. But as far as having a team, it's not really something that I'm interested in right now. I don't really want to have that kind of responsibility. Maybe at later this year, if I get to a place where the podcast is doing well and maybe there's a bit of revenue coming in from that, I think the first thing that I would probably do is get someone to edit the podcast for me and take care of all the production and the reels and everything, because that'll actually free up so much of my time. And that will just give me more time to invest in my community and just to help more people. And maybe get a VA to help me manage some of this online community stuff and emails and some of this media stuff that might happen if this podcast goes well towards the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, running a team is a massive responsibility. I mean, there's so much stress when I've had this when running an agency where there's mouths to feed, you got to keep hunting for stuff because, you can't let the pipeline dry up because, you've got people with kids and there's people that need to, that are relying on money to come in each month. So it's a big stress. But now that it's just me, I can live pretty agile. I can live pretty lean. I'd rather live lean. I'd rather simplify my life right now than have huge responsibilities. And I just want to focus on my craft, being a good person, focusing on my health and helping people, and trying to create something valuable that's going to help a lot of people. So there's a few more questions in there in this Paul Chek thing, and I really recommend that you do take a look at it. Like I said, I'll put it in the description. But that's basically it, guys. My year, like I've said, it was a really big year. I mean, what about you? How was your year? Like if you've had a big year as well for 2024, let us know. Put it in the comments. Like, what's been going on out there for people? Because as far as I know from the people that I've been talking to, it was really challenging for a lot of people. And I think 2025 is different. It's a 9-year numerology. I don't know if you believe in that stuff, but a 9-year is like the end of a cycle. So, we're closing out an end of a chapter. And I think there's going to be a lot of accelerated growth and change over the next 12 months. it's going to be a wild ride. I mean, even right now, January 2025, big fires going on in California. It's really devastating to see that. A lot of people displaced, and that's just a horrific situation that's going on over there. So, a way to start 2025. This year's going to be also be a big one, but hopefully we can, that there's going to be a lot of positive things that happen this year as well. But all we can really do in all this uncertainty and all this chaos is really focus on the things, and I do mention this a lot, that can help us to stay anchored and centered in a world of uncertainty. So, health, looking after your health, having a routine around fitness and well-being, looking after your diet, making sure you're consuming healthy content, being around healthy people, and being conscious about the choices that you're making around what you are letting into your life. I think it's really important to limit the things that you let into your life and consciously curate what is happening around you and in your life. And you're going to grow and change if you make those choices around what's in your environment. So on that note, if you don't already, like and subscribe, like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Do go and check out the Design on Purpose podcast. There's lots of podcasts coming out this year, 100 episodes in fact. And if you don't already, do join the waitlist for the leadership, which is the community that I'm talking to, which I have actually pivoted. Right, it's was going to be around more focused towards executives and leadership, but I think I'm just going to open that up. I think this content is really valuable for people who maybe have a skill set. And who've been working in corporate or working in a job, and they kind of want to turn that skill set and that knowledge and their purpose into something that can allow them to have some freedom and autonomy and travel the world and do their thing full time. So that's it, and have a great week, and put those anchors in, do those healthy things, and keep yourself centered and grounded. And I will see you next week. Hold fast.